Fabulous. Okay, so welcome everybody, and thank you so much for joining us and coming along to this intro session for the Vision for Volunteering. Whether you've heard from us before or whether this is your very first interaction with us, I hope you get a lot from it as we go through what the Vision for Volunteering is, what our themes are, and what they mean for volunteering in the future. So this is a little intro of what's coming up. I'll be doing an introduction to the Vision for Volunteering, what it is, how it came about, who we are, and what we're intending to do. Then we'll take a quick whiz through the Vision for Volunteering themes and what they are and what each of those mean. And I really want you to have a think about how each of the themes applies to you personally in your work. What is the Vision for Volunteering? The Vision for Volunteering is a 10-year collaborative project designed to create a better future for volunteering. Now, that's an incredibly broad statement, and it's a really long time, and that is by design. So we know that volunteering needs improving in a lot of areas, and we're trying to tackle each of those issues individually and also see where they cross-sect, and how we approach those and how we make those improvements across the board, across the country. We are run by a board of partners, and there are 7 organisations who are involved in championing the vision and running the vision. That is the National Council for Voluntary Organisations, the Association of Volunteer Managers, the National Association for Voluntary and Community Action, Volunteering Matters, Sport England, the Department for Culture, Media and Sport, and Muslin Charities Forum, who joined us most recently in July of last year. So what does the vision do? Well, the Vision for Volunteering is a view of what volunteering could look like by 2032. So, of course, we're a couple of years into this 10-year period already, and we're taking a good look now at what we can proactively do and what resources we can provide. The first section of the vision was really a lot of data gathering, a lot of research, a lot of talking to volunteers and volunteer managers and volunteer involving organisations, just to get an idea and do some real research on what those improvements need to be. And now we're looking forward to the next 8 or 9 years and how we can affect those changes and how we can help people to make changes themselves. It's a collaborative, grassroots focused project. So we really want people to take on board the principles of the vision and move forward in their own work with that, and think about the vision when creating strategies, when creating new opportunities for volunteers, and when getting creative with how their volunteering works and what volunteering looks like in their area. It's a project designed to help you think about what currently is working really well for you and how you can collaborate with others and share that with them. And also what doesn't work with you. How can we take practices that maybe are a little outdated and overhaul them or improve them? But what the Vision for Volunteering really isn't is a rigid structure. It's not a set of rules. It's not in itself a full strategy. It's not something that we're imposing upon you. You can really pick and choose which parts of the Vision for Volunteering work for you and decide what changes you're going to make based on that. So we're looking at the vision as a movement. So we want to create discussions. We want to create networking opportunities. We want to help facilitate collaboration between people who work in volunteering. So volunteering is currently not accessible or equally enjoyable for everyone who does it. So we're taking a look at why the vision was created in the first place. So we took information and submissions from over 350 people from over 300 organisations to help design the Vision for Volunteering in earnest. In late 2021, a steering group ran 14 workshops, carried out a number of interviews and received 43 written submissions from volunteers and volunteer involving organisations and other stakeholders. And using this information and this well of research that we'd done, we launched the Vision for Volunteering in May 2021. We saw huge changes for volunteers and their activities happen across the COVID-19 pandemic, for example, but not all of these changes were positive changes, and those that were positive, not all of those changes were permanent. We're seeing changing patterns in who is volunteering and how they're volunteering and what activities they're doing, what roles they're doing, and a lot of crossover between organisations as well in how people are volunteering. So we're really taking a look at how volunteering has changed recently, particularly over the COVID-19 pandemic, but over recent years as well, and how we can embrace that which works for us and overcome that which doesn't. So through doing all of this research, we produced 5 key themes that really make up the basis of the vision for volunteering. So these are the areas where we've seen the need for the most improvement. And as we talk through these, I really want you to think about what your volunteers need right now and what volunteers need over the next 10 years in order to make really effective contributions across these areas and using these techniques and these themes. And we think about how we will capture and practice new practice and technology and harness it to create that better future for volunteering. How can we let go of practices that are no longer serving us and tackle some of those long-standing inequalities? So just as we go through these, I want you to go through these themes with some questions in your mind relating specifically to you. So like I said, the vision is a set of themes, a set of ideas and thoughts, and we really want you to think about how they apply to you personally and how they apply to your communities, because it will mean something different for every person in the room today. So I want you to think about how each of these themes resonates with you. What changes can you make personally in these areas, and what are the barriers to those changes, and how can the vision help you to overcome those barriers? So the vision for volunteering tackles these 5 key themes, and that is awareness and appreciation, power, equity and inclusion, collaboration, and experimentation. So we're going to go through each of these and have a bit of a chat about what that actually means. So awareness and appreciation, we really want to create a culture of volunteering that is where volunteering is part of everybody's life. Volunteers are given the recognition that they deserve. So we really recognize the impact that volunteers have on the work that we do, and the fact that we couldn't have the impact that we do without the impact that those volunteers have. Volunteering is a continuum of involvement and participation, from occasional volunteering to regular volunteering, from super organized to really informal and micro volunteering. And we shouldn't expect volunteers to stay with one organization indefinitely. It needs to be easy to move between roles, to pause or stop volunteering and to start again. Because whatever's happening in our lives, people need to have the ability to move around and have that fluidity. We need to support that fluidity, and our organizational cultures must embrace sharing and flexibility, with volunteers moving between organizations and activities as we try and develop new things. So by 2032, we want volunteering to be something that we all do across the different settings and stages of our lives. It has to have equal validity alongside public and private endeavours, and we want to be proud to talk about it. We want organisations that involve volunteers to understand how and when volunteers want to engage. We want to hear volunteer voices and make sure they are embedded in the leadership and design of volunteering initiatives, driving how they're involved. We want volunteering to be appreciated by individuals, communities, organisations, and policymakers as helping to enrich lives and enliven communities, because it really does, and it goes under the radar a lot of the time. We want the appreciation and celebration of volunteering to be supported by common metrics for measuring volunteering, which have been adopted by central and local government and organisations involving volunteers. So we really want to make sure that volunteers are noticed and appreciated, and that we have a way of making sure that we're doing that. We're talking about power. So we want to be able to hand power over to volunteers wherever we can. We want a future where volunteers and the communities that they serve lead on the change that matters to them. We want volunteers to have power. We want volunteers to become leaders. And everyday volunteers are making things happen. People are coming together in movements of support and action and solidarity and protest. And a lot of the charities and organisations that we work with today were originally started by volunteers, by people who are just out in the community. And when we speak about volunteers, we're not just talking about people who sign up to do a shift in a charity shop. We're talking about everyone, someone who does their shopping for their neighbour who's not particularly mobile. We're talking about people who help in the community and don't even themselves think about the fact that they are volunteering. But the people that are in these communities and in these situations, they're the ones that have the insider knowledge about these causes, and they're the ones that really have the passion and the drive to make changes and affect change in those areas. So we want to give volunteers the power to come together in movements of support and action and action, solidarity, and protest. We want everyone to be able to engage within their community and identify what really matters to them. We want volunteers to help to build the future that they want to see. We want people that support volunteers to work alongside them as equals and channel their interests and their passions and support them to make change. We need first-hand experience to be valued, and the focus is on that people's ability to make that change, whatever their role. And people, again, are supported to move between roles, between volunteering and paid work and accessing services. So those decisions are made by the people who are best placed to make them, and not necessarily by hierarchy. We're looking at equity and inclusion, which is obviously a huge and important topic. And all of these, again, are very, very broad topics. And that's for a reason, because I really want you to think about how they relate to you and how they resonate with you. So we want a future where it's easy for people to give their time and their energy to the causes that they care about. We want people to feel welcomed in volunteering and the benefits of volunteering to be equally distributed. We want volunteering to be accessible and welcoming to everyone. Currently, volunteering is not inclusive of all people and all communities, both in terms of the levels of participation and the volunteers' experience of being involved. We know, for example, that those from lower socioeconomic groups are less likely to volunteer through organisations and groups than those from higher socioeconomic groups. Younger, disabled, and volunteers with an ethnic minority background are also reporting a less positive experience when volunteering through organisations and groups. So those people, when they do volunteer, are doing it in that community-led way, where it's creating a huge change and it's having a huge impact, but we're not able to measure that and we're not able to see that. We want to build and continue to foster cultures that are inclusive of all of those who want to give their time, making sure that volunteering can fit with people's identity, background, and life experience by listening to people who experience exclusion from volunteering, organisations and groups, removing barriers to providing additional support. And we want to ensure that everyone who wants to volunteer can volunteer. And that goes right down to things like people who have caring responsibilities and maybe need to volunteer in a more flexible way, and encouraging people to raise concerns about discrimination or inequity and welcome those concerns as an opportunity to improve and effectively address those issues. We want to think about collaboration. So we want to create a future where collaboration is natural and spontaneous and people do fantastic stuff together because they want to do stuff together. We should recognise the ability of communities to drive collaboration, and we must value and add value to that collaboration. There should be a radical shift in emphasis towards building community-led coalitions of interest and collaborative activity, rather than creating top-down and imposed partnership working, for example. So by 2032, we want organisations to support and champion communities to drive their own collaborative activity and don't feel the need to own that activity. So whether this is organisations collaborating with one another or collaborating with government, whether this is organisations collaborating with their volunteers, or whether it's volunteers collaborating with one another. We want volunteers to play an essential role in building seamless collaborations within and across all sectors. And we want collaboration to nurture and support new people and organisations to engage in new projects. And where moving between organisations and projects, again, is normal and welcome, and we share people and we share talent and connections and reduce competition. And we want to tackle the barriers that organisations can put up. We want to recruit, train and work with volunteers jointly wherever we can. And we're looking at experimentation. And this is one of those ones where whenever I mention it, people talk about resource and money and time. And this is so true. And this is one of those barriers that we need to talk about and we need to address. But experimentation, we want to look at this future where communities aren't afraid to try new things. They aren't afraid to develop their own innovative solutions to engaging and supporting volunteers. Experimentation should be a natural part of volunteering, not a temporary bolt-on. We don't want experimentation to be reserved for times of crisis. We want it to be incorporated in the way that we work. We want to be able to let go of things that we're doing because that's the way we've always done them. We want to be able to try new things and create space for trial and error, be able to try something new and say, that didn't work, we'll try something else, until you find the perfect way of working, until you find the new way of working or find that emerging practice that works for you. And that will be iterative and that will be ever evolving and will never really be finished. But we want to create that space and that way of thinking that it's okay to try new things. We want communities to be supported to experiment with innovative and develop their own solutions. We want those that create an enabling environment for volunteers, leaders and funders and trustees and government to support that culture of experimentation, meaning that communities and organisations are trusted to design those projects as they see fit, to learn and adapt. And whether that's convincing funders that it's okay to try new things and that you don't need to see that immediate response and that immediate success, because sometimes the best way to do something isn't the first thing that you try. We want relationships to be built on trust. We want to avoid overly bureaucratic systems, instead balancing change and flexibility with the need to protect people's safety and well-being at all times. We want to embrace a genuine learning culture. We want to seek out and listen to those with expertise wherever this lies, building on what works well, learning when things go wrong and staying curious. And I think that's really, really key. So those are the 5 themes and the 5 key things that we think about when we think about the vision for volunteering. If you would like to talk about the vision for volunteering and how important these themes are, either with stakeholders or with your communities or with your teams, we have created a toolkit that can help you run a session a bit like this, a bit more in depth with a bit more activity-led stuff. So you can download our toolkit for free from our website, and that can help you to run a session like this and to help to spread the word of the vision for volunteering and what we're trying to do and how you want to make change to do those things. You can also sign up as a Vision for Volunteering champion and champion the vision and its themes within your organisation or your community and help to build this movement and create that better future for volunteering. So there's plenty of opportunities for Vision for Volunteering champions to get involved and help build that movement. And you can pick and choose from those opportunities. So you can champion the themes within your spaces. You can encourage your spaces to commit to vision pledges and hold them accountable. Be mindful of the vision themes in all of your work and your volunteering. You could attend events on our behalf or speak at events on our behalf if that's something that you're interested in. You can share the vision, themes and aims with colleagues in the community. You can hold us accountable. So really what we want from our champions as well is to hold us accountable in being an example to others in the sector. Participate in focus groups and steering groups and really help us to develop what the next stage is and how we help you to overcome some of those barriers. So we talk to our champions a lot. We stay in contact with them. You get a regular newsletter and opportunities for networking events. And so we really use our champions to help us and hold us accountable and help us to develop what the vision does next. And if you have any ideas on how to help build the Vision for Volunteering movement, we would love to hear them. So if you'd like to be a champion, you can sign up on our website. Anyone within the volunteering space can sign up as a champion. It's not restrictive. So whether you're a volunteer manager, or a charity leader, if you're involved in volunteering, you are welcome to apply. So thank you so much for that. I hope you've got something out of it. I hope you understand the vision a little bit better. We do have a mailing list for meeting reminders. So that's my final slide. Sign up to our mailing list at visionforvolunteering.org.uk/newsletter. You can also follow us along on social media and get in touch. Either you can email me directly or you can email our team inbox. Somebody will get back to you.